Now, and we're live. Okay, great stuff. So, welcome everybody to LinkedIn for breakfast. Fantastic to have you here. We're talking about W income work half the time. So, let's just get the agenda up. And yes, it can be done. And I'm going to show you today. It's going to be a bit of a whirlwind of demonstrations, but I hope that you're going to find a lot of value in today. So before we get started, we always like to just recap on our mission here, particularly if people are coming here for the first time, and particularly with a spammy title like the one that we gave this session. We want you to rest assured that our mission here is to make this basically the best place on earth that you can come to get free advice about how to grow your business and how to expand your brand so you get more leads and more people recognizing you. And we use LinkedIn, the world's largest professional network, as the cornerstone for a lot of the activity we do. And today is no different, even though the title is slightly different. I'll be showing you how you can harness the power of LinkedIn to be able to actually double your income and work half the time. But there'll be a few other more kind of structural pieces that will help your business today. And we are doing all of this for free, so there is no big sales pitch at the end. The whole point of this is to make the best place on earth to be able to learn this stuff and not to charge you for it, because it's all about community, which is what this is. This is our LinkedIn for Breakfast community. It's totally free to join. All the replays, all the recordings, loads of different challenges. We do community corners on Fridays where we get to know a little bit about you guys. We do a pod on a Tuesday. So in the chat now, Flora, I think, would have posted the link into this group. Do jump into there if you're not in there already, because it's a great place to come and hang out. Okay, so our agenda today is part one. We want to look at how we're going to double that income and work half the time. And then we're going to leave some time at the end to take questions. And I'm happy to take those questions because normally what happens is there's a whole array of different kind of, oh, well, how could you do this? Or what about this particular scenario? So take a few notes and feel free to hold back until the end. We normally finish at about quarter two. That's kind of the promise of this, just 45 minutes of marketing madness per week. But I normally hang around for a little bit afterwards in case people have got further questions. That's a good time to hang out. Okay, so let's set some context here. I love this quote from Alice in Wonderland, where you got the Cheshire Cat. And Alice is saying, what road do I take? And the cat goes, well, where are you trying to go? And she says, well, I don't know. And then the cat says, then it doesn't matter. If you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there. And I think that's such a interesting and poignant analogy of when you start a business. It's like, hey, I want to start this business because I want more time, more freedom, and all the rest of it. And like more time, more freedom are just like categories of ideas, aren't they? They're not actually destinations, and they're not specific. And so we need to get a little bit more specific in terms of our goal planning, because if we don't set targets, you know what business is like. We just get lost amongst the shiny things. It's the magpie effect. You're like, oh, new software. Oh, AI. Oh, oh, I'm missing out on some Bitcoin investments. I better go jump onto that. Oh, crikey. I thought I had a business to run and now I'm messing around with an altcoin. It's like there's so many different things that can distract you, so many different software platforms that can distract you, and so many social media platforms. So we need to really get ourselves focused. So here's the kind of agenda that we would set if my slides want to click on. Come on. And the first part is, we want to look at what's your target today. Actually, what target should we be making for our business if we're going to really be able to help ourselves grow? And then we want to look at, well, what do we need to actually sell to be able to reach those targets? And then penultimately, we're going to look at, well, then how do you optimize your time to achieve that? And then last, we'll be looking at how do we get the leads to be able to make all of that happen? Because we get the right amount of leads, we'll have the right amount of opportunities, have the right amount of opportunities, the rest looks after itself. Okay, so step one, what is the target? Now, what we've created here, and this is a bit of a resource that I'm going to dump into the chat for you. And if you all click on this link and have it open ready, it will give you all the templates that we're going to be talking about today. It's going to take you to a page like this called Double Your Income and Work Half the Time. The nice thing is that we've run this as a shorter version of the training before. So there's a video on here, and then there's access to a few of these swipe files we're going to be talking about today pinned below this page. And the most important one is going to be this one. If we click this one here, it's going to take us to this spreadsheet. And so this is a Google Doc, which is based upon a Google Doc I put together probably, well, just before we brought this place. We brought this place, knocked it down, and built a place on it. So it was like a kind of financial assessment that I did to try and go, well, what would be the goal? What do I want to achieve? And the whole point of this was, well, if my business doesn't have a target for its revenue that I can personally get involved with, then I don't feel it doesn't feel personal enough to say, oh, I want my business to turn over 500,000, a million, whatever it is, right? 100,000, whatever it is, because it's not personal enough. It's not actually relating back to me on every day. So how do we make business personal? And that's by finding out what do you need to personally take from the business in an ideal situation, in a, in the best case lifestyle situation, that should educate how much your business should turn over in revenue, right? So this is a Google sheet here, and I dumped some numbers into here. If you want to create a copy of it, go to File, press Make a Copy like that, and then make your own copy. And then you go through this and you put all your numbers in, and that will help you to be able to follow this method, right? So we've got different stuff in here, everything from the cost of your house to holidays to school fees if you've got kids to car insurances to cleaners and gardeners and all the rest of it. The whole point of this is not to just put in what you're currently doing, is to put in what would be ideal if you felt like everything was going completely brilliantly and you were living the lifestyle exactly that you always intended to have when you came out and set out your business for the first time, right? Put all those details into here, and I put some different links in here that you can help and all the rest of it. And hopefully by the end of putting all this in, you should get to a monthly fee. Now, ideally, that would be an ambitious monthly fee, because when I first put this in, I thought, oh, bloody hell, that seems ambitious. And then you grow your business to the state where you kind of it hits that, and then you're like, wow, that was it used to feel big and now you can get to it, right? And so from your perspective, I want you to stretch yourself when you put this in. So put all of these different things in, work out what the monthly fee would be and go, bam, right, it's that. So in this scenario, that's 17 grand, right? Well, that's cool, because then if we actually look at what the annual is, it's 200K, right? So now we're going, well, that should now hopefully educate me to go, well, I need to be able to extract that amount of money from my business after tax, which I'm going to give you a little tip on how you can do that after tax. And that therefore should be able to give you the target for your revenue for your business. So now when we actually look at this, if you look at what your revenue should be, then we need to make a hypothesis of how much can you take out your business percentage wise, right? So I'm going to show you here, if you're taking out half of your revenue to yourself personally from your business using the profit first method I'm going to show you, that tells you that your business should be turning over in this scenario 410,000, right? So when we talk about, so my business is called the $1 Million Sprint, we help people get up to 1 million revenue. The irony of this is that actually this would be the 410,787 pound sprint, because that is exactly where this business needs to get to achieve that, which is great. That's actually a less of a target, and that creates a really exciting opportunity to go, well, that's only 34 grand a month. How can I generate a repeating income model that is winning clients and is holding those clients and is generating 34 grand a month? Because that then does all the things that I would want to have in my life, right? But the big thing is we've got to work out how to take out half of that money while we're after tax, right? So this is where, so let's say we're going to get to this 34 grand piece, right? So let's go on to the blackboard of truth and justice. And there's a great book, Profit First. If anybody hasn't read Profit First, it's amazing. Mike McCallowicz, he's actually put out a number of great books that I really like. Of note, probably the second favorite one of mine is called Clockwork that he's done as well, which is about systemizing your business. But Profit First is all about, it's the one that really kind of hit the ground for him. It's all about trying to make sure that you pay yourself first. It's a pay yourself first accounting model. Why is that important? Because when you are growing, and I remember when I grew my marketing agency, the first business that we did a big scale on, I would be paying everybody first, and the small little slice of cash that was sort of bumping around at the end of the month would come to me. And we grew that business to, well over 1 million in revenue. But we collected people. By the end of it, we had 28 staff, and we were growing that business. And so we were doing over 100 grand of revenue per month, but yet that everything started to come out, and the tiny bit at the end would be either nothing or nowhere near what we felt was, or what I felt was good enough to be paying for the efforts that we were putting into. And so the book came into my life at that point, and then talked to me about siloing your business into different bank accounts to make this happen, right? So when you think about this business, and I know I'm going to throw some numbers at you guys, so just keep with me, absorb this, maybe go back and watch it a few times, right? So when you're VAT registered in the UK, you actually get 120% of income come into your bank account because that's your net figure plus your VAT on top of it, right? So for every 100 grand you get in there, you actually get 120,000 comes into your bank account, the 20,000 being the VAT, right? So you get 120% into your bank account. That's what you call the income account. What you want to do is then move 20% straight into the VAT. And you can obviously just take this bit out if you're not VAT registered yet. And then that becomes your VAT account. Now, you can reclaim some of that VAT later, and I'll show you why that's important in a second, but just siphon straight away 20% out. Then you want to move this into different hoppers, right? And if you're a coaching consultant business, you can probably run in these exact percentages. When you start to scale, we're lucky enough. We got I think it's 90 now, Flora, isn't it? 90 staff. So we obviously have slightly different percentages to the ones that I'm going to show you, just because we have a higher team cost, versus if this is a percentage, if you're a one man, two man person business, or a one person, a couple of VA type businesses, this will work really well for you in terms of percentages, right? So what we say is you want to put 30% away because you take 20% off, so you've got 100%, which is your true income then sitting in your income account. You then immediately put this into 30% into what we call an OPEX account, right? So this is your operational expenses. Why is this important? Well, if you only put 30% into there, mass expands to the room you give it. So if you squeeze your income to only be able to spend 30% on software costs, VAs, going to events, new laptops, training, whatever it is, then you will only spend that. And if the money runs out here, then it's not a case of going borrowing it from other places. You just have to try and make sure you cut the cloth, and you have to kind of remove things, or apologize to people that the payment's going to be late, because you've made sure that you've only spent that amount. So you kind of ring fence it instead of it nicking money from other places. You ring fence it. The next one is that you put 15% of entire revenue into what we call a tax account, right? Now, most people will say, oh, well, corporation tax is like 22 to 25%. Yes, but that's of profit. Whereas we're putting 15% of the entire revenue into there. So that gives you actually a bit of an excess, right? The next thing is we want to do 5% into what we call a profit account, right? The reason why we do this is that this is your rainy day account. This is your, when the proverbial hits the fan account. That's what you've got to fall back on, right? It's a profit account. Okay, so it sits there, and that's your savings. You can put this into like a high interest savings account, and you just siphon 5% into the business nicely, right? And then that leaves conveniently 50% in here for owner's comp, right? And so that's your bit, okay? And so now we have this beautiful setup. So it's all looking really good, and we got our owner's comp in there, and we can then take that out. But here's the point. If you take that out, of course, 40% of that Debatably, would be able to use different things such as pensions and tax-free allowance and all that sort of stuff. Dividends is a slightly different way of doing it, but you're obviously going to be taxed upon that. So we need to be able to take some additional cash out to be able to pay your corporation tax. Sorry, your owners. What am I saying? Your income tax. I'll get this right in a second, because you've got to be able to measure and take out that owner's count. So when you've got your VAT at 20% in here, much of this 30% that you're paying over here will have VAT. And as a VAT registered business, you can reclaim that here. So actually, your VAT normally works out to be about 13% is what you're actually paying back to the government, and 7% is what you can actually reclaim from the cost of your business. Average, right? This I'm just giving you the average. So you can pay that extra 7% to yourself as an additional dividend, and that can pay a part of your owner's comp. Because remember, you're paying, say, 40% on 50% of the company's income, and this is 7% of the 120%. So actually, that 7% is actually a very large amount that you can pay yourself. The same with this tax here is that you're paying 20 to 25% corporation tax on the profit, which actually works out, because obviously you pay yourself a bit of tax-free allowance, it works out to be about 45% or whatever of revenue when you add that, but you add a bit of that as dividend, then that gives you an excess, again, about 7% of that to come back in. So if you think about 7% and 7% on this model, if it's £1 million business, that's 140 grand's worth of extra money that could be sent to you to pay your personal income tax. So the 7% are bigger than you actually think. And that allows you, with a few little kind of accounting little plays, to take home 50% after tax. I know it's a lot, guys. All you need to look is just absorb the percentages and know that it can work, right? So if we then head back onto this list here, this means that you've now got a situation where you know that half of the money that you're making in your business, you can take home half the tax. Perfect. So how do we go and achieve that 34K, right? So in this spreadsheet, you can then start to look at, well, how many sales do you need to achieve that 34 grand, right? And so if you look at what your 12-month value is, right? And this 12-month value of 4.5 grand here, I've just taken as an example here, which is basically selling a 3 grand product for 6 months. And then half of those people that you sell to roll on to a second 6 months, making it 4.5 grand average client lifetime value, right? For the 12 months. I hope that makes sense. So half the people do the second 6 months, and then half of them don't. So it means 4.5 grand's the average. Okay. So at that rate, how many sales would I need to achieve? Well, I'd only need to achieve about 1.9, basically 2 sales a week to make that happen to hit this figure, right? So that's cool, because to hit 34K, I'm just going to need 7.61. So I'm just doing, you can see that I'm dividing this by that equals 7.61 sales per month. Well, that's cool, because I like working on a week by week basis, and I'll show you why in a second. So that's only 2 sales a week we need to make that happen, right? It's only 90 sales a year we need to hit that great target, right? And then to make 2 sales happen a week, if we have a ratio of selling 1 out of 3 people that we actually see in the sales meetings, that means that we would only need to have just under 6 sales meetings a week to make that happen. Okay, cool. So there's only 6 sales meetings I need to actually make this dream figure happen. Okay, I can do that. And then actually you think about, well, not everybody turns up to sales meetings. So what is our booking, as in sales meeting booking, to demo rate ratio? Well, if I need 4 bookings to make 3 people turn up, I have a 4:3 ratio, or 3:4 ratio. So I need 1.33 bookings to make that happen. So that means I need 7.5 bookings a week. So that's just 7.5 sales meetings that need to be booked into my diary. This doesn't feel too difficult, right? It's only 7.5 to make this happen. You might be close to these figures already, right? And the whole point of this, you're just optimizing, optimizing, optimizing. So therefore, how many leads, how many obviously inquiries or leads or people signing up for ebooks or people coming to events or whatever it is, do I need to make seven and a half people book? Well, if we say five leads equals one of those bookings, then that means I only need 37 leads a week. Okay, 37 leads a week. Well, I heard about these ads and this LinkedIn stuff and all the rest of it. Well, let's see how we can get these leads. Well, we look at this to kind of break it down and work out, well, for all the things that, an average business could be easily doing in their business, such as running some Facebook ads, doing some cold email outreach, doing some LinkedIn outreach, like connecting and DMing, etc., running some organic social media posts, doing some email marketing to our list, right? Getting some word of mouth leads. Okay. With all of that in mind, what we do is we look at these ones, which are a little bit more like the organic you don't need to pay so much for. So sending out cold emails, doing LinkedIn organic, and we look at what the average is per week that you might get in terms of solid leads. So say four leads from cold email outreach, LinkedIn outreach might be six, might be three from your organic posts, etc. If you're doing these things right, these are kind of averages that you might see. And remember, we've got lots of clients, we're doing this sort of stuff for them, so we're seeing these numbers. And so once you get this, you add those up and say, well, that's about 19 a week that we're getting through those places. So then we need to top up by 19 leads through ads. Why do we top up through ads? Because that's the paid stuff. And so it's quite nice to know what your organic volume is, and then you top up through paid. Okay. So now let's put some money behind this, and I promise that this is the last time I'm going to give you figures, okay? Because I know that there's a few people's heads blowing at the moment, but hopefully the crescendo of this is exciting. Well, it is for me anyway. So when we look at this, right? What is the cost? So to give you an idea, so we a lot of our clients will take a VA, who will work with them for half a day, right? And so the cost of a VA through us, through Million Dollar Sprint, is £300 a month. That gives you 4 hours a day, 5 days a week of a VA doing your marketing for you. Great deal. And so they could do your cold email, the LinkedIn outreach, the organic social for you. Jobs are good. So you take 33% of that marketing cost and you divide it across those three different channels. There you go. Jobs are good and 100 quid, right? In each one of those per month. So the cost per week means it's £25. You're spending 25 quid against these lead ratios, right? Obviously, they're averages, it depends on each client. But that's cool because that gives us a cost per lead. So you're talking about £6 for cold email or £4 for the LinkedIn outreach, £8 per lead. And so we can actually see what the cost is that going to be per week. And then we look at meta ads. So on my ads, we're averaging about £4.51 per lead through ads. And that's just me sending people into a group, the LinkedIn for Breakfast group that you're seeing, coming into these events, etc. We'll be running ads and inviting people along to it, right? So if that's the case, that means that it's about £85 a week that we're spending to be able to top up on those leads, right? And actually, we're spending a bit more because we're growing further than this. But on this ratio for you, using our cost per lead example, this is what it would look like. So you probably only need to be spending about £160 per week on leads. Now that's blooming exciting because if we're doing that, then our monthly cost is 642 quid, right? Let me just repeat that, £642 per month. What does that mean? That's less than 15% of just one sale is the cost of buying those leads. And that means that for spending 642 quid, that's going to give us the 34 grand. You build the system up. So that suddenly empowers you to go, wow, that means that if I'm just spending this amount on leads, I could be getting this huge volume of a business. And most importantly, a machine, a predictable machine that's generating. Now, it may be different for your industry. You may find it harder to be able to generate organic leads. You may need to spend a little bit more on ads, or you may find it easier to generate organic leads. You don't need to worry about ads at all. But by knowing the data, by seeing the data and being able to work it, then bam, you now have a system. And that's bloody cool, right? So now we know where we're targeting, right? We want two sales a week. We want to be able to get these leads because we need 38 leads a week to be able to make your two sales happen. What should we sell? How do we sell that 4.5 grand piece, right? And what's the target? So most people, when we're doing this, will go, well, we need to create a business that has these tiers. We need to have a free thing at the bottom, and then we need to do like a 10 to $15 thing, like a cheapy, like liquidate our ads type offer. Then we need to add like $100 thing, and then we need like £1,000 like mid-tier type product, and then we've got like our platinum service, which is like X, Y, and Z. Like we've got this 10 grand type thing, right? And the problem is what you just created by doing this kind of, because everybody tells you to do this, but by creating this value ladder, you've just created so many headaches, so many headaches. The reason why you shouldn't do this is because you've now created five different things to sell people. And you'll have two people in one tier, three people in the other tier, five people, and then you've got to service those people separately, and then those people, and then suddenly somebody wants to have a bit of a hybrid because they want a bit at the top tier, but they don't want to pay the top tier, so they want to pay the bottom tier. And you then go, oh, people are like, oh, I don't want any of that. Can I just buy some of you one-to-one time? So you are pulled from pillar to post. So when you're trying to optimize and sell two per week, it's like, well, actually, I'm now trying to sell like three people on the bottom tier and five people on the top tier. So I now need to sell more than two a week. And I now need to deliver in three different places. And I've got lots of different pains. And I'm suddenly fighting fires everywhere. And I can't go and be better. We say, don't do that. Rip it up, right? I'd say just focus on selling F to F. And that's not face to face. What this is go from free, blow their minds with amazing free value. Just create the best free thing in the world. The reason why you do that is it completely increases your cachet with your audience. It builds the trust, and also it's bloody fun. And you have people coming to things and consuming things and thanking you and being part of a community and helping the perpetual wheel of this thing grow by really enjoying how good it is. Think about all the things that you go to that actually are really good in this business world. They have spent time perfecting them to be good, particularly the things that are free and are good. The channels on YouTube that you really like that are that you'll go back to over and over again. It's because they're good and the quality's there and it comes from a genuine place. Or the communities that you hang out with on Facebook or LinkedIn or on school that are good is because they are good and they're genuinely good. You need one of those. And you need to drag your audience into that and just show them how cool this could be. And then don't sell them six different solutions. Sell them the solution. Sell them the flagship solution, because otherwise you're telling people, hey, here's a number of ways we can solve your pain. Don't do that. Just say, hey, here's the way. Buy this thing because this thing is the way that we can actually help you to get from where you are now to the result that you want to get, right? So have one product, power of one, right? Sell the one solution. Cool. And then let's think about how do we get the leads. So finally, we're talking about, well, now we know what we're selling and we know what the target is. How are we going to sell this, right? So we talk about this kind of concept of awareness, consider, convert. Okay, so this is the top bit. So we need to get people to go from awareness stage into consider stage into convert, and I'm gonna go through that with you in a second. Once they buy, by the way, you then have this advocacy wheel at the bottom, which is you want to delight them when they buy from you at the start. So great onboarding, wow factors really help. You then gamify the experience. So actually, how do you keep them winning at your product? And when someone's delighted and winning at your product, then they'll tell other people about it. They will become brand advocates, and so then they will help to bring more people into your product, and the spin keep on buying from you, right? So that's how it works. So so how are we going to generate these leads? So let me just grab this, slide it over there, and then jump into the pen of justice. Okay, cool. Oh, I forgot about that. Look at this, the rainbow pen. It's my favorite pen. Look at this. Hey, yeah, look at that. Right, we're gonna go awareness to consider to convert, right? So this is where we want to go down to, right? So when you think about this type of product, if you're using LinkedIn, you want to build awareness. You want to find your perfect target audience because if you know you're just selling one flagship product over here, okay, then the flagship product should be focused on trying to help one type of audience sell this type of pain and do it really, really well, right? And so this becomes your flagship. And say you're selling something over here for 3K, as we discussed, that is the solution. So by building this awareness, we want to find your target audience, and on LinkedIn's perfect for it. You can find business owners who are in the UK, who are running IT support businesses, whatever it is, right? And you go and find those people. And then once you find those people, you want to be able to connect with them. You want to get them to see your posts. You might want them to kind of subscribe to your newsletters, whatever it is. But this stuff, people get lost in this by going, oh, I just need to post on LinkedIn. I need to send out some content. I need to get views and engagement. All of that is just awareness. They go from, oh, I don't really know what you do to, oh, okay, I can see that you do some coaching for IT support businesses, right? So I kind of know you do some coaching stuff. A lot of people get just stuck in this by just sending out content. It's just more and more kind of posting for posting's sake. We've got to take these people and we've got to move them into this consideration zone. That consideration is that blow your mind for free piece. That is going from I know you're an IT support, do something to do with that, to wow, you actually really know what you're talking about. And this we talk about as being the weekly moment. So have one moment per week where you really go to town on your free thing. So that could be a podcast that you do really well, could be a YouTube channel you do really well, could be an event like this that you do really well. All of this can be then ring fenced within a community. So you have one weekly moment and you bring people into it. And the nice thing about these weekly moments, if you don't quite have the reach and the awareness, you could be interviewing people in here who do have reach and awareness and siphon more of this audience based upon the people that you're interviewing. You can use the weekly moment and you can make it go out multi-platform if you want to try and grab it. You can actually run your weekly moment into other people's communities to be able to siphon those people into it. But just know that you've got one big core bit of content. Could be a big thought leadership article blog, could be that YouTube video, could be that blog post, could be an event, right? Bring them into this, give them that great experience, and then open the door for them to have what we call a value session. Instead of trying to say, hey, do you want to come buy my stuff? Don't say that. Say, hey, do you want to come and have a value session one to one with me? So I go from one to many to one to one here. And that one to one is, hey, thanks for coming on to my IT support scalability podcast. If you want me to do a free analysis of your ability to scale your IT business, then jump on to a free IT business scalability assessment with me one to one. And in that time, I'm going to look at this, this, and this, and I'm going to help you to be able to do this, right? Think about your sales meeting. Rebrand your sales meeting as a value session and genuinely give more. This is part of the blow your minds for free piece. Blow the minds one to many, blow the minds one to one. Once you do that one to one, at the end, you can then go, oh, and if you really want to solve the problem, then I've got this great flagship solution. And you can then introduce that to them if it's appropriate. This will really help you because if you can optimize this, you're just doing 1 hour per week of a thought leadership piece. You're then doing your, say 6 hours to get your 2 sales of value sessions. So that's 7 hours per week of content. And if you can then have a flagship product that is a group product, then suddenly you have a one-to-many flagship solution because you're just selling one product, not 6 products in different bronze, silver, and gold tiers. then suddenly you may be only spending, if it's group sessions, maybe 3 hours of training, dropping clinics, etc. for the group. So now we've got 7, 8, 9, 10 hours per week of actually delivery. And so hopefully you can now see that we've been able to double your income and work half the time. Does it hopefully that makes sense? Lots going at you there, but this structure is about simplicity, not about thinking you need to be really complex to scale and make the world happen and actually have targets that don't always have to be that million in revenue target. Um, cool. So, gang, um, I'm really keen to hear some questions and some help for you. And if you do want to discuss any of those bits specifically around how that might work for your business, and if you're shooting off, so what I'll do is I'll give you the ability to book in some one-to-one time with us if you want to discuss any of those bits. And actually, we'll do it. We'll just I'll do that now, and then I'll take questions just because I know some people need to shoot off and they want to get the link before they go. So let me just show you this. We our value session, just for clarity, it is a value session. We want to give you some value, and at the end, we are more than happy to show you how all these questions might work for your business as well. But our value session is a LinkedIn profile audit. So we audit your LinkedIn profile. We look at actually how it's set up and is it set up for success. And we look at things like, are you optimizing it properly for recommendations, reviews, etc. And then we can discuss your business and actually how these numbers might work for your business as well at the end. I put the link into the chat here. There's not masses by the look of it here. So there's a couple on Monday, one on Tuesday there. So I think these are getting obliterated. Is there any left this month? No, so there's none left this month. So there's actually only three there, guys. So what we'll have to do is probably get a waiting list put together. So if you want to jump on here and try and get one of these three sessions now, if you're interested in going through that and happy to look at your LinkedIn profile and also how what we just showed you works for you, jump onto that. If you miss out, could you just write a waiting list in the chat? And Flora will then start to create a bit of a waiting list. And when more of these sessions get released, then we can make sure that we fit you into it. Wicked. Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, so I saw one question in there which was around B2B. If you're selling B2B, does Facebook work? And the answer is yeah, it does. It depends on what B2B. Obviously, I sell B2B because you guys are businesses. So there's B to SB, small business, and then there's what I would call B to corporate, right? And so they do have slightly different nuances. And of course, there is LinkedIn ads, which definitely work for B to corporate. So yes, the concept of ads might just be slightly different applicable, right? It could be YouTube ads as opposed to Facebook or Meta ads. I always say Facebook ads, but basically it's Instagram, Messenger, Facebook. So it could be more appropriate to YouTube ads, or it could be more appropriate to LinkedIn ads. But what you want to think about is, here's my organic lead generation, and then what do I need to pay to top up to hit my 38 leads per week or whatever volume of leads per week you need to achieve, right? And by knowing that, that just gives you a figure. And so by doing that, then it gives you a target. And now you just know, oh, I only need another 12 leads per week to top up, so I'm willing to spend £5 a lead to get there, right? So why not? Cool. And actually, I can see there's some people putting in the chat waiting list already in there. So that's cool. Andy talking about awareness, consideration. It's awareness, consideration, convert is the second C, is the third C. So convert is your sales, so your value session, and then deliver. So awareness, consider, convert, deliver. That's the three C's. So hopefully Jan said that convert is the third. I love it. Just because there's quite a lot of chat in here, if people want to unmute and ask their question, I'm going to take Andy Barker's now. But if people have got a further question and I'm missing it because maybe you did it a while ago, you could use the little raise hand icon underneath the heart to be able to line up there. So Andy says, if the flagship is a large value consultancy and you've not worked with them, is some form of ladder stroke land and scale worth doing? the big investment may be too scary for a company who doesn't know you well enough. Andy, can I ask a little bit more kind of context around that, buddy?
Yeah, I think what you said is if you and thank you. If you get into that conversation, you want to sell the big flagship, but so don't ladder up your services. Um, I think what I'm trying to get at here is sometimes if I say, here's the flagship project, and they say, well, we don't know you well enough to invest that kind of money. So can you do a little bit for us? And then if that kind of works out, then we can scale it later.
Yeah. So yeah, great question. So what I would do when you're doing these big projects, and I know your projects are like 100, 200 grand plus, so what you can do is if you try and shape the way your flagship looks to have like these segments. So you pitch it as the project, and then if people then go, "Ooh, Andy, hold on, hold your horses there, my friend," then you can say, "No problem at all. Section one is really nice to be able to get started. It gets all the buy-in from all the big stakeholders. It's going to give you this result, and then it will really help us to then to build momentum into the other pieces if you feel it's applicable. So I would not create like flagship light. I would create flagship step one and sell that.
No, that if I could, that's a brilliant answer actually, because the first step in the flagship is to do a diagnostic, which is to define the real problem that you have. And usually when you define the real problem that you have, they want the, oh, dang, I didn't see that. What comes next?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really
Yeah.
simple answer to a
Yeah.
20-month-old problem that fat. Thanks.
But also they're not going like, oh, I we worked with Andy and we brought his thing and it was fine and we've now moved on to someone else. What they've done is that they've brought step one on the Andy solution, and to complete working with Andy they need to finish the project. And so the whole language changes when you're working with the client, and the whole kind of picture. And and also I'm a big believer of never trying to sell twice to the same person. You sell once to build them into your ecosystem, and then the presumption is they're going to carry on working with you to be able to achieve the goals that you've agreed that they want to achieve with you. And therefore, that's why I'm a big believer of monthly fees and rolling arrangements, because never put a stop in the way of your client relationship, because your client might just want to carry on working and might not even want to think about it. If you make them think about it, then they're going to start to think, oh, actually, where am I with this, etc. You just want to keep on working with them because that, until they feel like the project's done, then just keep on working. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Dawn, over to you.
Thank you for that answer. It's given me some really good ideas actually for a potential client I was going to reach out to. So excellent. Thank you. My question is a little bit linked to the subject last week on the outreach, but part of the sales conversion strategy. And that is following the initial outreach on DMs to the individuals that you've just connected with, and commenting on their posts, etc., for the awareness part, I get stuck with the next step. After the niceties of without selling. Hi, how's 2025 going for you?
Yeah.
Then what?
I've got a cool event coming up on Wednesday. I'd love you to come along to it. We're talking about X, Y, and Z. I think it'd be perfect for you.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right. How do I get involved in that?
You need to get an event.
Okay, so yes, so what
No,
I'm
but
doing is
no,
filling.
you answering because no, that's the whole. Do you see? I
Oh,
just
I
did it to
see.
you. See?
Bloody hell.
Oh, Dawn, you're such a great person. I love it. See, see, it works that well. That's the conversation. So when someone says how's 21 and they say it's great, and you can say, hey, I was looking at your profile and I saw that you're into this stuff, and I've got an event coming up on Friday. I think it'll be perfect for you. We're talking about this, this, and this.
Oh,
You
that
see?
was bloody genius.
Yeah, you were a bloody good demonstration. So I appreciate.
I'm like Tess Daly. No, actually, I'm not. I'm not
I
like
love it.
Tess
But
Daly.
look, do you see how easy it is? Because you've got a weekly moment, and every single week you have a moment, and then you bring it. Now, you don't have to do a weekly event. Look, trust me, putting on this event each week is time, right?
Yes.
So
Mm.
we say to our clients, do a monthly event and do a weekly newsletter, right? So it can be the same conversation. Hey, I've got a newsletter I'm launching tomorrow about X, Y, and Z. If you subscribe to it here, you'll get it. Or do you want me to just loop it back to you, or do you want a sneak peek of it now? I'll send it to you now, right? And bam, because you've got these assets that are in your locker that you can constantly put across to people.
And the free event that you're talking, sorry, the event that you're talking about, you're suggesting free to get people through the door.
Yeah, blow
Yeah.
their minds with free, sell them the solution, right? So
Yeah.
give them the best bloody experience they can get.
Yeah.
And they will then go really like what Dawn's talking about. She seems like the sort of person I want to hang out with. Say, cool, don't run the risk of trying to sell something, right? If I
No.
go and try and flog something, you go onto these bloody webinars, right? And at the start, they tell you about their life story, and then they give you a little slice of actual value. And then at the end, there's like a big sales pitch, and then it's blah, 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 and then bam, they're going to drop you with a price,
Yeah.
right? You just obliterate that audience. You'll get some sales from it, but those people won't come back again because they think, oh, I don't want to hear about that bloody life story one more time. There's not enough time for value. Whereas if you can just give wholeheartedly in a session and then say, if you want to have a one-to-one with me, then let's have a one-to-one and I can give you even more value in the one-to-one. And then at the end of the one-to-one, if you still like what I'm talking about, I can show you what we actually do because I think, again, that might actually help to fast track some of this stuff and it's worth the investment
Thank you.
you know and genuinely, like, just for transparency, that's exactly what I'm saying when we do the LinkedIn profile audits. Like, if you guys
Yeah.
want us to give you even more of a synopsis of exactly how you can implement some of this stuff, it is a value session. It is the majority of it is helping one to one, and then we can show you a little bit more about us at the end. So look, and again, I know these spaces have all gone now, but if people haven't done yet, just to reiterate that, even just for your curiosity, just jump onto those value sessions. Just say waiting list in the chat if you haven't got one yet, and do feel free because Flora will send a message to you. Great stuff. So do
You.
work with that.
Thanks very
Um,
much.
no
Appreciate it.
worries, no worries. But I will come on to Stephen. But Bonnie's saying here, what if I want to sell B to corporate and also B to C? How do I split my focus? I think the difficulty is when you're trying to sell to two audiences, then it's an age-old Russian proverb, isn't it? Which is the if you try and catch two rabbits, you get none, right? So actually, you've got to kind of work out, well, who do you want to actually most work with? Because you should align your entire piece to that. You should that spreadsheet is a great example of a simplified business model that will scale because it's just two sales a week, 38 leads a week of one type of person who's going to buy one type of product. If you go and try and work out, well, how do I get corporate leads and then how do I get B2C leads and how do I sell this product and that product because I kind of want to work on those things, then actually it's complicated and complexity scales, simplicity scales, right? And so I would just come back to you and say, which one do you like the most? Sell that one. Because that's going to be the easier. And sometimes it's also if you can't work out well which one do you want would like the most, go all the way to the end and go which one is the easiest to get 38 leads for, or however many leads you need to get. Which one can I just turn on the taps and get 38 leads for? Because then that will give me my 3 appointments a week. Or 6 appointments a week, which will give me my two sales. Which ones are easier to sell, which ones are easier to get leads for, which ones are easier to go and deliver for, which ones can achieve the 4.5 grand that I want to achieve, right? Now, I'm just giving you the figures that are in my sheet because you might actually do a 2 grand product or it might be a 10 grand product. So you've got to then change those figures first, I would say, based upon one audience, one thing. And I'd say to Bonnie, there's no reason why you can't do that sheet twice. Do one sheet that is for your corporate and one sheet for your B2C, and look at the two of them side by side and go, actually, which one do I think is more viable to go for? Don't just make the decision based upon a snap decision now. Do the work. You know, the top bit in terms of how much you want to earn remains the same. The bottom bit, you can then work upon those two different target audience, and then that'll be exciting to work out. And then let the numbers make the decision for you. And look, you can do it for 3 months. And if it doesn't work, you can always go and try the other one for another 3 months, and that might work better. You're not stuck. But I would not. It will not work if you're trying to catch two rabbits. In my opinion. Stephen, over to you.
Hi. Thanks. That's been really, really helpful. Just how that it really aligns with what I'm doing at the moment, and sort of the plans as far as a weekly newsletter and then a monthly live, which I'm putting together at the moment. I tried doing a live last week just as a tester, because I've never done it before and I was terrified. So I just put together a 5-minute thing. But one thing that I realized on StreamYard is that on the free program now, you can't record. So as far as being able to utilize that material from a LinkedIn Live and repurpose it, I was a bit stuck as to actually there's going to be really, I'm planning on doing them as Q&A sessions, so getting 4 guys together talking about a particular subject around men's mental health, and there's going to be real nuggets in here that I can repurpose elsewhere. But it's knowing how to do it without having to pay for a subscription.
So there is a hack, and I always like a little hack. So there is a app. So download LinkedIn videos. Video downloader for LinkedIn. LinkedIn video. I think it's this. There you go. So download LinkedIn videos for free. Bada bing.
Okay.
There you go. Have a little play. I'll just chuck that into the chat for you.
Cool.
Okay, good stuff. So click on that and just have a play with it. And the nice thing about this, guys, with that download videos is you don't have doesn't have to just be your videos as well. So you can download anybody's videos. So if you see so you see some of these cool videos that made a good point, you could actually go do a little intro to say, hey, you know, Stephen will talk about this, this, and this. And actually, Frank made a really interesting comment on one of his videos on his LinkedIn page the other day. Snippet, Frank. And you say, what I liked about was this, this, and this. But what I think Frank missed was this. And then bam, you've now got a cool bit of content.
Yeah, and you're adding value to whatever it is that original video was.
You tag Frank in as well. Frank likes it, shares it. Bam, you siphon Frank's audience.
Cool. That's great. Thank you.
No worries. Enjoy. Jimmy, over to you. And then also, we're getting dangerously close to the end of this session, guys, because at 10 o'clock, I've got another session. So we'll finish in a minute or so. But this is your last chance. If you haven't booked in one of those one-to-ones with me and you want to get on the waiting list, just type in waiting list in the chat and Flora will look after you. Jimmy, go for it.
Well, a couple of questions. I hope they'll both be pretty short. One, you talked about from free to flagship.
Yeah.
And so my service, what I do is I work with women, particularly in engineering, who are going to leave mid-career because of the joys of working in that industry as minorities. I produced a feature-length movie that has won awards and on that issue. And one of the things I was thinking about doing was actually doing, like, as part of my weekly moments, I meet with them every Monday, but the last Monday of the month was to give them access to the film for a week. And then the discussion would be a discussion and an on-the-spot mini coaching, you know, about from the film. But my intention was to charge them like $5 or $10 to access the film. So just want to know what your thoughts on that would be. My second question was around, I put it in the chat about paid traffic or paid leads. Does it make sense to jump on that immediately, or to really wait until I've had a certain amount of clients come through organically and then upgrade, or, you know, on paid leads?
Paid traffic is stage two. So stage one is get the organic working. And then once you've got the organic working, you've got the leads, and then you can use those. That that proves the system. So you prove the system for free or sweat equity to be able to do this stuff. And then you top up with ads when you're ready to scale. Ads are a scalability element. Organic is a proof of concept element. So prove the concept first. And yeah, I like the idea. Mondays aren't great, by the way, for weekly moments. I think that they're not great days. I like Wednesdays. So Monday, Tuesday, you promote the weekly moment. You do the weekly moment on a Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, you follow up the weekly moment, book in those value sessions. And on that bombshell, I'm going to finish the session there. Thank you all, LinkedIn for Breakfasters. MDS sprinters, stay here. We're going to jump into our deep dive Q&A, drop-in clinic. Anybody here from LinkedIn for Breakfast, great